Viva Chile, viva Chile, a Chile quiero, chileno yo soy.
Host Dr. John Coben. I just want to keep you updated on Freedom Orchard. You know, I was just talking to a promoter who's selected us over Freedom Orchard for his over Galt's Gulch and other things. Of course, Simon Black's not doing these kinds of projects anymore, at least not for now. And so we're really hoping to have our project underway as soon as possible. People keep asking and they're interested. I appreciate that very much. It's taken a long time, a longer time than I expected to get the capital we need together to do stuff. And I'm still hoping that it can all go through well. Again, I'm an academic libertarian. I'm a spokesman. I'm a radio show broadcaster. I'm not a property developer per se. That's not what I do. I'm the face, the image, the publicity of the thing, and I have the idea as for what we want. You know, so I'm the visionary of it, to speak, so to speak, on this whole thing. But as far as actually sitting out there in the dirt and running around with bulldozers and all those other things that are absolutely necessary, it's not my cup of tea, folks. So I've got to get all that stuff arranged, got to get some professionals involved, and we are still working on finalizing our capital. So while people are still asking questions about Freedom Orchard, all I can tell you is just be patient. Hopefully sooner than later it'll be online, and I'll have some really good news for you, and we'll be able to move forward. Again, we also have our Santa Cruz project we're hoping to do in the south, a little bit further out, for people that aren't quite as wealthy but want to live in Chile. We're still thinking of you as well, but that's going to be after we get the Curacaví project off the ground in Freedom Orchard in Curacaví. All right, a couple other housekeeping items too that I want to bring up. It's so important for people to understand the necessity of knowledge before you get to Chile. People come down here and they burn out, they have problems because they don't have enough information before they get here. What's life like in Chile? How am I expected to behave? What's the possibility of me getting a job? Is it easy to open a business? What kind of business should I open? And you know, is it easy to find a wife down there? And a bunch of other questions that people frequently ask me. How about owning a gun, or owning gold, or bringing my gold into the country? All these things you can check out and find information about on my blog at Escape America Now, and by buying my 2 books that are available also at escapeamericanow.info. Go there, order the books, read the books. It's 800 pages. If you're going to be making an international move, you better believe reading 800 pages is worthwhile. Read all the recent blog entries, and by all means, listen to all the Red Hot Chili shows. This is basically free or very low-cost information that's going to help you get adjusted here into the country. And after you are adjusted, people like Richard Chaptini and others will be here to help you on a consultancy basis to get established, to really, as we say, hold your hand and guide you through the process. You're going to need at least 3 years to learn basic Spanish and do it well enough to speak in a social setting, and you're going to be able to need to get acquainted with what part of Chile you like, or what you want to do when you're here in Chile. So be well prepared, get the information on that, and you should do it now. Even if you're coming to Freedom Orchard and you're going to have bilingual people around you, you still need to live in Chile and therefore get the information that's available. Last time I started a segment, and I just didn't get a chance to finish it, this whole topic that's been going on about traditional women in Chile. And that's one of the biggest blog entries, most popular blog entries I got is on traditional women. They do exist here in Chile, and the stats prove it. But I'll tell you what, people started getting riled up or watching this 1953 clip about the Good Wife's Guide that came out in the United States, where there were 12 things mentioned there that were quite funny about, greet your husband with a smile, and well, I should actually got the list up from online, but you can search for it on YouTube. More than greeting your husband with a smile, it's things like almost push the ridiculous, like when your husband gets home, try not to talk to him about your problems or things that interest you. Just be quiet and listen to him. What he says is a lot more important than what you have to say. Now some people might be actually offended by that. This is not a politically correct country, so it wouldn't be offensive here, but it is ridiculed by a lot of women to hear that. And I mean, you listen to the 12 things that were on this movie clip, some of them are kind of funny, and for some people here, they're very valuable because many men and women here still value traditional roles. So I encourage you to look at YouTube and look up the Good Wife's Guide, the 12 Principles, or whatever it is. They were all translated and printed in the major press here in Chile for the last week and a half, and people have been talking about it. And a lot of the younger generation absolutely rejects it. It's completely anachronistic, out of mode. Nobody believes that anymore. Forget it. But we find that encrusted in Chilean society, especially out of Santiago, it's simply not the case. In fact, the statistics show that only 47.7% of Chileans work, that are women. Chilean women work. And the other statistic is that 2/3 of all families where there's a man involved, the man is either the only provider or earns more than the woman. In 2/3 of the case, you say, well, there's still 1/3 where the woman's obviously earning more as the sole provider. That's because there's been an incredible growth in single parents, women who are the only provider in the home because there's no man present. It went from about 20% to 30% just in the last 20 years, rounded statistics. And so much of that other third there that's not in a male-dominated home is because there's a single woman involved, and there's a lot of unwed mothers or divorcees where the mother ends up being the one who raises the child and is the key breadwinner. The statistics also revealed that men have a very traditional understanding of the family, such that they don't do housework. Even if a woman works, she has to come home and do the housework when she's done with her job. 97% of men say yes, they agree they should be involved in the lives of their children, but almost none of them want to wash dishes or change diapers. And I have to say I'm one of them. I'm really glad that Chile has that rule or that social setting down here. You may not like it, that's okay. You can always go to New Zealand where life is far more liberal socially. Here in Chile, we are one of the most, if not the most, traditional society for Latin society for as far as family culture goes. Women are entrusted with transmission of the culture to the next generation. If a child doesn't know how to brush his teeth, if, like my wife often tells me, who do they blame first? If they didn't learn that basic skill when they were young, they don't blame dad, they blame mom, because she is the one who's in charge of all this. When the child doesn't do well in school, got bad grades, it's not dad who shows up normally to complain or talk to about the teacher, it's mom who goes there. And mom is the one who's in charge of the children primarily. And even my younger students, when I was a university professor full-time, the younger students would simply tell me, I want to work for a few years, I'm here to get a college degree, but my goal is by the time I'm 26, 28, maybe 30 years old, to be married and have children, and once I have children, to stay home with my children. And the men appreciate that, and the women appreciate that. Now, it's not that these young women are not promiscuous, or they're traditional maidens, or virgins, or this kind of stuff. I would not say that at all. I think it's very similar to the U.S. in a lot of ways, or Western Europe in the new generation. But even still, they have the idea in mind that their primary role in life is to raise their families, and to take care of the elderly, and do other things that traditionally women have always done. And so this is an interesting point for folks kind of wanting to immigrate here, because you may be coming from a particular culture or country north of the Tropic of Cancer, which is fully feminized or full of radical feminists or other ideas that are completely different than what you're going to land in here in Chile. And you may say, I don't even want anything to do with Chile because of that. Fine, don't have anything to do with Chile, but it's better to know now than later, right? And if you are coming here and you want to have a traditional family and you like and appreciate those roles, then I think you will have a great life here because you'll fit in very well. Traditional women here are not hard to find as mates, especially in the outlying areas outside of Santiago. If you're a husband if you've been divorced or you've never been married as a man and you want to come to Chile and find a wife, it's something you can do, and I think you'll be quite pleased with the traditional woman that you can find in Chile. Again, I'm not making a generalization here, folks. Not all women here are traditional women, okay? But you're going to find a far greater number of traditional women in Chile than you would in a place like Great Britain or France or the United States or Canada. So anyway, the statistics I thought were quite interesting. Have a look at the YouTube video where it talks about this. It's just hilarious when you look and think back the way the culture was in the United States just 60 years ago and how things have changed. For many of us, towards the worse, as we look at the institution of marriage being challenged, family, and being undercut and undermined in so many ways, and the results of that with the divorce, the family court, the child services division, and other problems you have in the Northern Hemisphere, still haven't got here, thankfully, and we still have a society that can be very traditional in many respects, and yet very libertarian in others, especially in the economic parts. And I'm glad to see Bachelet actually is letting up a little bit and not trying to be so severe and trying to say she's going to get her whole socialist program done in 4 years. She said now it's going to take longer than that. I was really glad to see that. She's lightening up. She's just a power broker, folks. The center-left government here is not going to make the dire, dramatic changes that could cause fear. And I notice even some of the press in the U.S. when they're not reading very carefully her program. Somebody in the Wall Street Journal thought she was trying to raise, for instance, the corporate tax rate up to 35%. She's trying to raise it to 25%, and the 10% difference is significant. And they just don't read well in Spanish or don't get the idea quite well, as far as I can tell. And they're just making for English readership a lot of misinformation go out. If you want to know the cutting edge information about Chile, listen to Red Hot Chile. I live here, I'm bilingual, I've got surrounded by friends and acquaintances and professional colleagues that give me good information, and although I'm not saying I'm infallible, I certainly can make errors too. It's less likely that I'm going to make an error than somebody reading some news reports up in New York at a desk publishing something in the Wall Street Journal. Well, we just had another minute or two left here before the end of this segment, and I wanted to give Richard, who's back here waiting patiently, a chance just to make a couple other comments about what he's doing in Vicuña, especially with your production of jams and some of the other things you were trying to do. Can you comment about the political situation maybe too there? The people of expatriates might be interested in.
Yeah, John, thank you again. One thing that we probably missed to mention is the business opportunities in the Vicuña area, in the Elqui area. The Elqui Valley is known for its mysticity, for its positive energy, and two major areas where people can invest or make money is tourism. It's a very growing tourism area, and agriculture. Agriculture, I touched a little bit on the agricultural part, but tourism is very important, and you see people coming from all over the world. I had Japanese, I had Bulgarians, West Europeans, Argentinians, and other nationalities, of course, the US, England, etc. Now what I'm trying to do is to integrate what I have from my culture of origin into what the Elqui Valley presents, or the products that grow in the Elqui Valley. I can proudly say, so far I haven't been proven otherwise, that I'm the only place that offers rose petal jams.
We're going to have to pick us up at the beginning of the next segment. We're just running out of time in this one. You're listening to Red Hot Chili on the Overseas Radio Network, and we'll be right back after this break.